Silence is one of the most powerful tools you can ever master. It carries weight, it demands attention, and most importantly, it creates space for people to feel your absence. See, most people believe that in order to be remembered, they need to be loud, always present, always engaging. But the truth is, real impact comes from knowing when to pull back, when to go silent, and when to let someone sit in the emptiness of your absence. When you are always available, always responding, always explaining yourself, you become predictable. And predictability breeds comfort. Comfort leads to complacency. And when someone becomes too comfortable, they stop appreciating what's in front of them. But when you learn to master silence, when you learn to say less and let your absence speak louder than your words, that's when people start to feel your presence, even when you're not there. Boy, think about it. Why do people miss someone the most after they've left? Because their presence was taken away. Because suddenly, there's an empty space where something valuable used to be. When you stop always explaining yourself, when you stop over-explaining your emotions, when you stop constantly seeking validation from others, you force them to sit with their own thoughts. You give them time to reflect on what you brought into their life. And in that reflection, they start to miss you. But silence is not just about absence. It's about confidence. It's about knowing that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. It's about understanding that your presence alone was valuable enough to be remembered. People who always need to explain themselves, always need to be heard, are people who doubt their own importance. But when you know your value, you don't chase, you don't beg for attention, you let your silence speak for itself. And here's the real truth. When you master silence, you also master control. You control how much access people have to you. You control how much of your energy you give away. And most importantly, you control how deeply your absence is felt. Because when you step back, when you choose silence over reaction, that's when people realize what they had. That's when they feel the weight of your absence. And when they feel that, they start seeking you, valuing you, missing you. So don't be afraid of silence. Use it wisely. Let it work for you. Because when you do, you'll no longer have to demand respect. You'll command it. Emotional detachment is not about being cold or uncaring. It's about mastering your emotions so they no longer control you. It's about understanding that your worth is not tied to how someone else treats you, how much attention they give you, or whether they validate your feelings. Because the moment you make someone else responsible for your happiness, you give them power over you. And when someone knows they have that kind of power, they start to take you for granted. See, when you are overly emotionally attached, you become predictable. You react the same way. You chase after the same patterns. You constantly seek reassurance. And what happens? You become an option, not a priority. But when you detach, when you stop letting every little thing affect your peace, you shift the entire dynamic. Suddenly, you're no longer reacting to their inconsistencies. You're no longer available at their convenience. And you become the one in control of how you show up. And that's when people start noticing your absence. Think about this. When someone knows they can push your buttons and get an instant reaction, they stop valuing your presence. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop needing their approval, you become a mystery. They start wondering what changed. Why aren't you responding the way you used to? Why aren't you chasing after them anymore? That's when they start feeling the loss. That's when they start missing what they had. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-investing in people who aren't meeting you at the same level. It means you can love someone, appreciate someone, but still walk away when they no longer respect your presence. Because when you show that you're willing to leave, that you're strong enough to stand alone, you become someone they can't ignore. Your absence becomes power. And here's what most people don't realize. When you master emotional detachment, you radiate confidence. People can feel when you are self-sufficient, when you don't need their validation to feel whole, and that kind of energy is rare. That kind of energy is unforgettable, because in a world where most people are desperate for attention, the one who can remain unshaken, the one who is at peace whether they are chosen or not, that person stands out. So let go of the need to be constantly reassured. Stop letting your emotions be dictated by someone else's actions. Be present, but unattached. Be engaged, but not dependent. And when you do that, your absence will be felt in a way that words could never explain. Self-respect is the foundation of how others treat you, the way you carry yourself, the way you allow people to speak to you, the way you enforce your boundaries. It all tells the world how to value you. And the truth is, if you don't respect yourself first, no one else will. See, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that if they give more, love harder, tolerate more, they'll be appreciated, but it doesn't work like that. The more you tolerate disrespect, the less value you hold in someone's eyes. Because people don't appreciate what they don't have to work for, they don't respect what comes too easily. If you're always available, always forgiving, always bending over backward just to keep someone in your life, they will start to see you as an option, not a priority. Think about it. People value what is rare. They admire what is strong. If you are constantly trying to prove your worth to someone, if you are afraid to set boundaries because you don't want to push them away, then you are telling them that your self-respect is negotiable. And the moment someone realizes that your self-respect is flexible, they stop fearing the idea of losing you. But when you stand firm in your standards, when you walk away from anything that doesn't align with your self-worth, you shift the entire dynamic. And here's the key. Self-respect is silent, but powerful. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. You show it through your actions. You show it in the way you say no without hesitation. You show it in the way you refuse to settle. You show it in the way you choose yourself every single time. And when people see that, when they see that you won't break just to keep them, that's when they start to realize your value. That's when your absence begins to hurt. See, people notice when someone with self-respect leaves the room. They feel it when that presence is gone. Why? Because self-respect is rare. It's magnetic. It draws people in without the need to beg for attention. And the ones who took you for granted, they will feel it the most because they will realize too late that they lost something they will never find again. So if you want people to feel your absence, if you want to be remembered, it starts with self-respect. Not arrogance, not ego, but an unshakable understanding of who you are and what you deserve. When you move with that kind of energy, you won't have to chase a single person. They will come looking for you. Mystery is one of the most powerful forces of attraction. It keeps people curious, it keeps them engaged, and most importantly, it keeps them thinking about you long after you've left the room. See, when someone knows everything about you, when they can predict your every move, every thought, every emotion, they start to take you for granted. There's no excitement, no chase, no depth to explore. But when you master the art of being unpredictable, of not always revealing everything, you create an aura that makes people crave your presence. Now let's be clear, mystery doesn't mean playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding that you don't have to lay everything out on the table for someone to appreciate you. Too many people overshare, they overexplain, they try to prove themselves by being an open book. But the truth is, people are drawn to what they don't fully understand. When you are selective with what you reveal, when you allow people to wonder a little, to lean in and try to figure you out, you create intrigue. And intrigue is what makes your absence feel heavy. Think about it. When was the last time you truly missed someone? Wasn't the person who was always available, always predictable, was the person who left you wondering, the one who made you think, the one who didn't give you all the answers. That's because our minds hold on to what is unfinished, what is unsolved. And if you become that kind of presence, someone who doesn't give away everything too quickly, you will leave a lasting impact. See, when you master mystery, you change the way people perceive you. You become someone they want to figure out. And that's powerful, because when they don't know exactly what you're thinking, when they can't always predict how you'll respond, they start paying closer attention. They start valuing the time they have with you because they don't know when they'll get it again. And here's the thing, most people make the mistake of always being available, always explaining, always trying to make someone else feel comfortable. But real power comes from restraint, from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, from knowing when to engage and when to step back. Because the less you give, the more people want. And when you finally do give them a piece of you, it means something, isn't it? So if you want people to feel your absence deeply, don't give away all of yourself too quickly. Let them wonder. Let them miss you. Let them realize on their own that you are not someone they can easily figure out. And when they do, they will feel the weight of your absence in ways they never expected. Emotional control is one of the most underrated yet powerful skills you can develop. When you learn to manage your emotions, when you refuse to let someone else dictate how you react, how you feel, or how you move, you gain an unshakable kind of strength. And the truth is, People respect and remember those who have mastered themselves. See, when you're overly reactive, when you're always expressing exactly how you feel, when you allow people to push your buttons, they start to feel like they have power over you. They start to see you as predictable, and predictability makes people take you for granted. Think about the times when someone upset you and you immediately reacted. Maybe you sent that long message. Maybe you over-explained yourself. Maybe you tried to argue your point. But what happened? Did they respect you more? Did they value you more? Or did they see your reaction as proof that they could control your emotions? Because that's what happens when you let people get a reaction out of you. They start to believe they have access to your inner world whenever they want. And when people feel like they can control your emotions, they stop fearing your absence. But when you master emotional control, everything changes. When you don't react immediately, when you don't give them the emotional response they expect, when you move with a calm, steady energy, no matter what, suddenly they start to wonder. Suddenly they start to feel uneasy. They start to realize they don't have the same hold over you that they thought they did. And that's when your presence becomes valuable. See, people don't miss what they can control, they miss what they can't. They miss the person who doesn't let their emotions be easily manipulated. They miss the person who doesn't beg, who doesn't plead, who doesn't fall apart just because someone else decided to act a certain way. They miss the person who knows their worth so deeply that they don't feel the need to prove it through emotional outbursts. And let's be real, emotional control doesn't mean you don't feel things. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you are selective with who gets to see those emotions. It means you protect your inner world and only share it with those who have earned that level of trust. And when you do that, when you carry yourself with that kind of composure, people feel the difference. They feel the absence of your energy when you're gone, because your presence was never something they could predict, never something they could take for granted. So if you want to be unforgettable, if you want your absence to be felt deeply, master your emotions. Don't give them away so easily. Move with grace, with control, with self-awareness, and watch how people start to see you differently. Confidence is one of the most magnetic forces on this planet. When you walk with confidence, when you carry yourself like someone who knows exactly who they are and what they bring to the table, you shift the way people see you. You shift the way they treat you. Because confidence isn't just about how you look. It's about how you move, how you speak, how you exist in the world. And when you master this, your absence will never go unnoticed. When you shift your absence behind you, a lot of people will benefit by your presence. Your absence will never go unnoticed. See, people are naturally drawn to confidence because it's rare. Most people are walking around unsure of themselves, constantly seeking validation, constantly trying to fit into someone else's expectations. But when you stand firm in who you are, when you no longer need someone's approval to feel valuable, people start to take notice. They start to wonder why you're so self-assured. They start to crave that energy, because deep down, everyone wants to feel that way about themselves. And when you leave, they feel the emptiness of your presence, because confidence leaves an imprint. It leaves a standard. Now, confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. It's about understanding that you don't have to chase, you don't have to beg, you don't have to convince anyone of your worth. When you believe in yourself at that level, people feel it, they respect it, they admire it, and most importantly, they remember it. Think about the people who have left a mark on you, the ones who stayed in your mind long after they were gone. I guarantee they weren't desperate for attention. I guarantee they weren't constantly seeking approval. No, they had something deeper. An unshakable belief in themselves. And that belief made them unforgettable. Now, the mistake most people make is that they attach their confidence to external things. How they look, who they're dating, what kind of job they have. But real confidence, the kind that makes people feel your absence, comes from within. It comes from knowing your value, from trusting yourself, from refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. And when you have that kind of confidence, you naturally set a standard. You naturally command respect. And when you remove yourself, people feel the loss. They feel the difference between you and everyone else. Because confidence isn't something you can fake, it's something that's felt. It's in the way you move, the way you speak, the way you handle yourself in every situation. And when you have it, you don't need to force people to appreciate you. They just do. And when you're gone, they feel it. They miss it. They crave it. Because true confidence leaves a void that's impossible to fill. Mystery is powerful. It keeps people intrigued, keeps them wondering, keeps them thinking about you long after you've left the room. See, when you give everything away too soon, when you lay all your cards on the table without hesitation, you leave no space for curiosity. And when there's no curiosity, there's no pull, no longing, no deep sense of missing. But when you master the art of being mysterious, when you hold something back, you create an effect that lingers. You leave a mark that stays even in your absence. Think about it. The people who stay on your mind the longest aren't the ones who were predictable, who gave you everything up front. They're the ones who made you wonder, who made you want to know more. It's human nature. When something is just out of reach, we want it even more. And this isn't about playing games. It's about understanding that not everything should be immediately accessible. Your thoughts, your emotions, your dreams, these are valuable. They're not for just anyone to have easy access to. They should be earned. The mistake most people make is that they overshare too soon, thinking that full transparency will make someone value them more. But real value isn't in giving everything at once. It's in revealing yourself gradually, in layers, at the right time. That's what keeps people invested. That's what makes them feel your absence. Because they never got everything from you all at once. There was always more to discover, more to learn, more to experience. And when that's taken away, it leaves a gap, a void that no one else can quite fill. Now, being mysterious doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It means understanding the power of unpredictability. It means keeping an air of independence where people can't quite predict your next move. That's what makes you unforgettable. That's what makes your presence addictive. Because when people can't fully figure you out, they can't forget you. And when they can't forget you, they feel your absence deeply. So don't be afraid to hold back sometimes. Don't be afraid to let people wonder. Because mystery isn't about withholding love or connection. It's about creating space for intrigue. It's about making sure that when you walk away, your presence is missed in a way that keeps people coming back for more. Confidence is magnetic. It's the kind of energy that lingers in a room long after you've left. See, when you truly believe in yourself, when you carry yourself with certainty and purpose, people feel it. They sense it in your words, in your actions, in the way you move through life. And that energy, it's unforgettable. It's what makes your absence felt deeply because people don't just remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And the only way you can create that feel, because right now today, I want to know what you're up to. There's 13 great messages for you today, 13 great for you. 1, good things does not happen to you. But real confidence isn't loud. It's not about arrogance or trying to prove something. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's walking into a room knowing you belong without needing anyone's validation. It's standing firm in your standards, your values, your worth, without explaining yourself. When you have that, you don't have to chase attention. Attention naturally follows you, and when you remove yourself, that absence feels like a shift in the atmosphere. You are no longer needed. Sheer confidence means less of yourself, nude. When you don't have to defend it, confidence comes inside. Now, here's the mistake many people make. They think confidence is about external things, about looking a certain way, having the right words, or appearing successful. But confidence isn't what you wear. It's not how much you have. It's how you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's how you handle setbacks, how you trust yourself even when things don't go your way. Because a person who is deeply confident doesn't fall apart when they're alone. Because you trust yourself and your success, because you trust yourself to get better and do better. They don't need constant reassurance. And that kind of self-assured presence, it stays on people's minds long after you've gone. And here's the thing, people gravitate toward confidence. They admire it, but more than that, they miss it when it's gone. When you're secure in who you are, you don't need to over-explain. You don't need to prove your worth. You simply exist as someone who knows what they bring to the table. And when you're not around, that presence, that strength, it's noticeably absent. That's why confidence is one of the greatest things you can master. Because when you do, you don't just attract respect, you leave an impression that lasts. And when you step away, that's when they realize just how powerful your presence really was. Respect is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. And when you know your worth, you naturally set boundaries that others can't cross. Respect is something that has to be earned, but it also has to be demanded in the way you carry yourself. It's not enough to simply expect it. You have to live in a way that requires others to respect you. And when you set that standard, you create a space where your absence is felt deep. Let's take a moment to think about the people who you've respected the most in your life. Think about the individuals who commanded your attention, your admiration, your loyalty. I can almost guarantee that they didn't do it by begging for it. They didn't chase after your respect or try to convince you of their worth. No, they did it by walking in their truth, by standing firm in their values, and by never settling for less than what they deserved. The 3 replaceable hours we spend with people. How many hours have you fallen asleep to your own fears, to somebody else's pain, and not until the next morning began to conflict and create pain for you and someone else in your life? And as a result, when they were no longer around, their absence was loud, it was felt. When you make respect a non-negotiable in your life, you're setting a standard that leaves no room for disrespect. This means that you don't tolerate being treated poorly. You don't allow anyone to cross your boundaries or make you feel less than. And the most powerful thing about this is that you don't have to say a word. Your actions speak for you. You teach others how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. When you value your own presence, others will too. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you naturally attract respect from others. And when you walk away, that respect leaves an absence that is impossible to ignore. Respect isn't about demanding it from others in a loud or forceful way. It's about having the quiet strength to say no when necessary, to walk away when necessary, to stand firm in your own principles. It's about living in such a way that people know, without a doubt, that you will not tolerate disrespect. And this isn't just about romantic relationships. This applies to every relationship in your life, family, friends, colleagues. If you make respect your standard, if you make it clear that you won't settle for less, you'll find that people will begin to treat you accordingly. They will respect your time, your energy, and your space. And when you remove yourself, that respect becomes evident. Now, I understand that some people might think that being respected means being isolated, but here's the truth. When you respect yourself, you don't attract isolation. You attract the right kind of people. You attract those who share your values, who admire your strength, and who will respect you because you're walking in your truth. It's not about being liked by everyone. It's about being respected by the ones who matter, the ones who truly value what you bring to the table. You see, when you respect yourself, you create a standard that is unwavering. You don't let anyone cross that line. And when you step away from a situation, from a person, from anything that doesn't honor you, your absence speaks volumes. Because those who truly respect you know what it means when you're no longer there. They understand that you are not someone who can be replaced. They feel your absence because they know that your value is not something that can easily be duplicated. It's time to stop settling for anything less than respect. It's time to stop letting people walk all over you, to stop tolerating disrespect in any form. When you stand firm in your worth, when you refuse to accept less than what you deserve, people will take notice. And when you walk away, they will feel the loss of your presence, because they will understand the respect you brought to the table. So, always remember, your respect is non-negotiable. And when you demand it from yourself, the world will have no choice but to follow suit. And when you're no longer around, they'll feel that absence in ways words cannot describe. When you truly understand your value, you no longer settle for being an option in someone else's life. You become the priority. And not just by force, but by the simple act of living your life in a way that commands it. Too many of us walk around pretending to be okay with being second place, hoping to get the love, the attention, or the care we deserve. But let me tell you this, settling for less is a silent killer of your self-worth. You cannot expect to receive the best from someone when you are not giving yourself the best first. The first step in making yourself a priority, not an option, is recognizing your own worth. It's so simple, yet so difficult for so many people to grasp. We have all been taught in some way, shape, or form to dim our light, to shrink, to make ourselves smaller so that others feel more comfortable. But here's the truth. When you allow yourself to shrink, to make others comfortable, you're teaching people to treat you as an option. Now, I went to school to the best of my ability. I got a degree. I got a master's and majored in math because it rocks if I tell that story. You are not an option. You are a priority, and you need to start acting like it. I've seen it time and time again in both my personal life and through others around me. People will treat you exactly as you treat yourself. If you allow yourself to be an afterthought, then they'll treat you like one. If you're always available to others, always ready to put someone else's needs before your own, that's when they begin to take you for granted. It's not malicious. It's just human nature. People will always meet you at the level you've set for them. And if you've set the bar low, then you've given them the permission to meet you at that level. But the moment you raise that bar, When you start valuing yourself enough to say, I deserve better and I will not settle for less, you begin to change the dynamic. When you treat yourself like a priority, when you respect yourself, when you choose to put your needs first, you begin to command that respect from others. It's not a demand, it's a natural outcome of how you walk, how you speak, and how you show up in the world. Let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are a powerful tool that we must master. Without boundaries, you are nothing more than a doormat. But when you create and enforce boundaries, you send a clear message. I value myself enough to protect my peace. When you set boundaries, you are not being selfish. You are teaching others how to treat you. Boundaries allow you to preserve your energy, your time, and your heart. People will either respect your boundaries or they won't. And when they don't, you must have the courage to walk away. You can't be afraid to walk away from people or situations that don't align with your worth. The hardest part about making yourself a priority is realizing that not everyone will understand your growth, your new standards, or your refusal to be treated like an option. But here's the thing. You are not here to live for others. You are not here to shrink so others can feel big. Your life is yours. Your time is precious. And when you treat yourself as a priority, those who truly matter will respect that decision. They will either rise to meet you at that level or they will fall away. And either way, you are doing the right thing for yourself. You will encounter people who will try to take advantage of your kindness, your availability, and your patience. They will try to make you feel guilty for prioritizing your needs, but you have to stand firm. Those people are only treating you the way you've allowed them to treat you. But now it's time to change the script. You are not an option to be picked up whenever it's convenient for others. You are a priority, and you deserve to be treated as such. Don't wait for others to recognize your worth. You must see it in yourself first. When you know your value, you no longer have to chase anyone. People will either recognize your worth and treat you accordingly, or they will fade into the background. But that's okay because you know that anyone who fails to treat you like a priority doesn't deserve your time or energy. Let me remind you, your worth is not tied to how others treat you. It's not dependent on their opinions or their approval. Your worth is intrinsic. It comes from within. And when you tap into that inner power, when you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are a priority, you will begin to create a life that aligns with that truth. The absence of someone who treats you like an option will always be felt. When you prioritize yourself, when you create a life based on self-respect, you become unforgettable. Your absence isn't just a void, it's a statement. People will feel it because they'll realize that you are not someone who can be easily replaced. You've mastered the art of walking away when necessary, of stepping back and letting others come to you, and that absence will echo in their hearts and minds long after you've gone. You've become someone they can't just push aside. So, I challenge you to stop being an option. Stop waiting around for others to value you. You are already valuable. You are already worthy. And when you start living like it, you will watch as the people around you begin to treat you as a priority. If they don't, they will eventually fade away and you will be left with nothing but the satisfaction of knowing that you never settled for being less than you deserve. The power is in your hands. It always has been,